Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 264, our week 3 gambling show. Our picks kind of found their footing last week after a 2-3 week one, after far too many 2-3 weeks last year. We'll get to those in about 20 minutes. Damonza's teasers we might have to recalibrate the strategy a bit. And I'm here to help. And Damonza, I fear, because I did take a sneak peek this week at the potential teaser you were thinking about, and I fear you're making a mistake far too many gamblers make, which is the teasers aren't going great. What if I just paid for more points? What if what was initially a 6-point teaser becomes a 7-point teaser? Now we're to a 7.5-point teaser. There's just a lot of things. Well, right, I understand, but
I was trying to get to.
But was it though? I understand, but maybe that means if you got to pay that much for that key number, maybe that's why there's other games you can pick. So again, you're your own man. It's your money. It's your teasers. But we are going to, at this point, talk it through. We're just going to talk it through, and I'm just going to give you my 2 cents on it. So all that coming up in the gambling show. But first, what missed the cut? The 167 nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame were announced. That's too many to get into today, obviously, but you guys know how much I love the NFL or the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll do that at some point. Jordan Love, your guy, Damonza, back at practice. I don't think he's going to play this week. The fact, though, that it's even possible means he should be playing next week, which is great news for the Green Bay Packers. And Woj retires from media to be the GM at St. Bonaventure. I have a very quick Woj story, which, Damonza, it involves you directly, but I don't even know if you know about it. So, Adrian Wojnarowski, I'll do this as quickly as I can, but this is my version of a little Woj tribute, and I hope this gets back to him in some capacity. So, right when I moved to Los Angeles, when I went to LA, so it's 2016, and I'm in LA, my family's in Houston, I'm kind of commuting back and forth. It's the NBA trade deadline, and I tweet out something to the likes of, the most diabolical move imaginable would be if Mark Stein or whomever the other newsbreakers were just tweeted Woj's cell phone number right now as a joke, meaning it would ruin his ability to break news for the day. It was just kind of a lark. I thought it was a funny idea of oh, you're going to try to break news? What if I give 1 million people your cell phone number and cripple your phone on the most important day of your year? And it was a total joke that I thought everyone would understand it was a joke. And Woj texted me and was like, please take that down. And I was like, oh man. He either didn't know I was joking or thought someone, not Mark Stein, someone who had his number might see that and be like, oh, that would be a good way to screw this guy. So I did. And I apologized, and he was like, oh, no. He was very, very kind. But that actually was so maybe he DM'd me, didn't text me, because we had never spoken before. I've never worked at ESPN, we've never spoken. But that interaction sparked a relationship, if you will. You know what I mean? Texting, DMing, whatever. So a few months later, Damonza was determining whether or not post-high school he was going to go play potentially D2 college basketball, junior college basketball, or prep school. And I knew that Woj had a lot of connections in those worlds. And so I, having never met him, having never spoke to him on the phone, reached out and was like, hey, here's the situation for my son. Here's his basically, huddle mixtape. Here's, his resume, if you will. What are your thoughts? And he put me in contact immediately with two people from Northeast basketball prep schools that he thought potentially would be a fit for you, would work for you, put me on a with someone vouching for me. Again, we'd never met. And that was for the people who did know, I don't want to talk about him like he passed. The people who know Woj personally, it seems like there's a lot of anecdotes like that. And it was incredibly kind. And it was totally unnecessary. And it was for someone who the only reason he had a relationship with, the me part of it, was someone who had done something that kind of, that wasn't nice. Now, it wasn't intentionally mean, but it's not like I had ever done him a favor. I had done the opposite of a favor, and that allowed me to have his number and reach out to him, and then he did me a favor. So, yeah, I don't even know if
You're getting me in.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I remember the workout. If that was the connection that he got me with, I remember working out with a guy in LA, some random gym somewhere. But yeah, shout out to
so
Woj.
that was actually a different one than the workout you did, but yes, it was during that time and that process and all of it, and so it was. I mean, just great dude, and God bless him, man. That insider breaking news life is a tough life. People roll their eyes at it. I think at times they're like, "Yeah, you make millions of dollars." As I've said before, and I'll say again, and then we'll get to football. I know this sounds callous or thoughtless for how many people are actively, their biggest struggle every day is financial related, and I have true empathy for that. But for folks, once Woj has been wealthy for a long time, has made a lot of money for a long time. So the amount of stress and time away from your family and all of it that the job takes, the money doesn't fix it, so to speak, as much as it would if someone who didn't, went from barely scraping by to all of a sudden getting money. He's now, I would imagine, to a place in his life where any more money he makes, he won't be spending. Every dollar he makes moving forward, is for his family, for other people, whatever. And so that is the holidays and dinners and everything. You're just connected to your phone. So God bless him, man. And going to St. Bonaventure and being able to do something with his alma mater, that's a really cool thing. And I'm super happy for him. And so, yeah, and the NBA breaking news space just lost a legend. So there's my Woj piece. Damonza, let's now get to the football.
So our Ravens have had their worst start to the season since 2015, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No team has ever won a Super Bowl starting off 0-3, and only one team since 2000 has made the playoffs starting 0-3. So now they play Dallas.
Only six teams ever have made the playoffs starting 0-3, which is wild. Go ahead.
It's a low percentage. And, yeah, they got Dallas that are trying to bounce back off that loss to the Saints. Do you think this is the biggest game of the Ravens season this year?
Well, it's hard to see how they come back from this. And if they were to lose. And you look at the Ravens' schedule, Damonza. Here's the problem for Baltimore. And here's why I think, in fact, I'm going to look. Right now, I bet they are, I haven't looked at this. I bet they are underdogs to make the playoffs. I bet, forget win the Super Bowl. I bet to make the playoffs, they're underdogs. Let me go on. Hold on. Playoff odds, Baltimore. Oh, they're a slight favorite. They're minus 125 to make, plus 104 to miss. So a slight favorite to make the playoffs. Here's the problem. They have, to my eye, just three layups remaining. They have a game, they have a layup home against Washington, home against Denver, and at the Giants. Here is, Damonza, the rest of their schedule, non-divisional games. At Dallas, home for Buffalo, at Tampa, at the Chargers, home for the Eagles, at Houston, plus 6 divisional games against the Browns, Steelers, and Bengals. So 15 games left, 3 layups, 6 tough divisional games, and then 6 brutal non-divisional games.
And you're 0-2.
Man, say it again. And they're 0-2. Exact. That's my point. And so, if they lose to Dallas, I do think they're cooked. I don't think 0-3 when you have that tough of a schedule remaining is recoverable. And I also think that there right now are some real structural problems with the team. Their offensive line, they lost 3 starting offensive linemen in the offseason. That is showing up. Did we talk about, or did you see the Zay Flowers retweet?
I was him not getting the ball enough or something.
In the second half, yeah. And he's not a big tweeter. Anyone who's not active on social media and then decide, I think he had tweeted twice in the last 3 weeks, decides to hit the old retweet button on a, kind of, I don't want to say shot at the team, but to publicly voice your frustration, that's a little concerning to me, especially because I think Baltimore's best path, Damonza, is against Dallas at the very least, is run the damn ball. Feed Derrick Henry, play bully ball, those things. And defensively, right now they're having a real adjustment period and Zach Orr taking over for Mike McDonald. So I do think Baltimore is in real trouble. And Baltimore we were talking about it before the year. And I said it would be Philly. Now maybe it's Philly could still be on that list, but maybe there'll be more than one. But I said when we were doing our preseason picks that every year, man, we always talk about the team that shocks us in a positive way. Who's going to be this year's Texans that go from nobody thinks they can be any good to where they are? But the flip side of that coin is almost every year there's an opposite one of those as well. A team that everyone has penciled in for 11, 12 wins that falls apart. And I wonder if all of a sudden that could be Baltimore, and I wonder how badly that blowing a 10-point late lead to the Raiders is going to haunt them. All right, go ahead. What else we got?
Be the team that I think they can be. They'll get back in it. I mean, and they're 0-2. They kind of could be 1-1. They play the Chiefs in the first week, so that's something.
Sure. Well, they could be. Here's the thing: they could be 2-0. They could have stolen the game from the Chiefs, and they should have beaten the Raiders. So that's my analysis of this. Yes, I said they have some structural issues, but it's less based on the quality of team I think they are, and more based on how big of a hole they've dug themselves only 2 weeks in. But go ahead.
On the Cowboys side of it, they've got a tough stretch of games coming up with Detroit, San Francisco, Atlanta, Philly, and Houston. So how badly do the Cowboys need this win?
Not as badly as that makes it sound, because they when we were talking Baltimore, all 6 of their divisional games are tough. The Cowboys, I think, are in the softest division in the league. The Giants are barely a professional team. Washington has major problems defensively and is starting a rookie quarterback. And you guys know that I think Philly is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, mid. I've decided I like mid as a phrase. I used to make fun of kids for using it, but I like it. I like it. I do say it a lot. So you've got those games. You also have a Panthers game still on your schedule. And you've got at the Steelers, not easy. But point being, I just think the Cowboys' schedule is so much more advantageous, and I think you might be able to win the damn NFC East with 9 wins. If I'm right about Philly, 9 wins could win you the division. So it's a weird spot where I think Baltimore and Dallas are similar quality of team. Maybe Baltimore's a little bit better, on a neutral field, all things considered. But I just think Dallas's path is so much easier. All right, let's do one more Ravens question here about Harbaugh.
So the Ravens fans are calling for Harbaugh's job. Who do you think would be a better option for head coach of the Ravens?
All right, so I got to tell you, my nightmare, and I don't think it's likely, but here's my nightmare scenario. My nightmare scenario is that the Ravens truly do have a season from hell, like 5-12. And something, because if they just have a mediocre year, Harbaugh, they're not going to fire the coach. But if it's truly season from hell and it feels like we need to shake the snow globe, maybe they would. And I think firing John Harbaugh would be a mistake for them unless it's to hire Bill Belichick. That's my quest for the Chiefs to become the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Lamar Jackson getting Bill Belichick to be his head coach is not something that I want on my bingo card. So I will, if the Ravens start truly spiraling, which again, I'm not predicting, but if they do, you're going to find your old buddy Nick Wright starting to root really hard for the Ravens. I don't want Bill Belichick to coach the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens. Go anywhere else you want, Bill. Anywhere else. I already have to deal with Jim Harbaugh.
So different. Like, I feel like Tom Brady is very different from Lamar Jackson. And
it's not about...
Very different from Josh Allen.
I don't think he'd be coaching up... No, that's not what it is. I don't think he would be coaching the quarterbacks. I just think if you paired one of those quarterbacks with Belichick's defense, Belichick's game management, Belichick's organizational strategy, now you're really a threat. And so that's what it is. I don't think there's much he would do on the offensive side of the ball with the quarterback, Josh or Lamar. I just don't want those two. Those two quarterbacks are so uniquely talented and uniquely dangerous that if you paired them with the greatest defensive mind in NFL history, that's not great for the Chiefs are going to be trying to four-peat next year. I don't want Belichick and Lamar standing in the way. Next.
So the Falcons are riding high after that Monday Night Football win against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mahomes is coming off of what you might say is his worst game of his career. How do you expect Mahomes to respond to his dud?
I think that the Chiefs' offense is going to hum this weekend. I do. I think that the Chiefs finally have a moment to breathe after 2 games that were the other team's Super Bowls. And now they get an Atlanta team that is coming off a season-saving emotional win. And whether they will admit it or not, they know in the back of their head, okay, we can lose this game. We're playing the Chiefs. It's all right. Like, we got that win over Philly. And I just think that's human nature. They are also on slightly short rest. And then there's this. Damonza, Patrick Mahomes has played 10 games in his career in a dome. What do you think his record is in those 10 dome games?
I'll give him 10-0.
10-0 would be correct. 23 touchdowns, 2 picks, 314 passing yards per game, a 105 rating. In retractable roof stadiums, so controlled climate, he's 3-1, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick with a 116 rating. So, in non-outdoor games, Mahomes in his career is 13-1 with 33 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 110 rating, and 300 yards per game, and 70% completions. And you're going to have Xavier Worthy on that fast track. And I love Arrowhead, but it's not necessarily a speed field. You have Mahomes also sneaky, historically, a better road quarterback than home quarterback. At home, he has a 99 rating, 103 touchdowns, 33 picks. On the road, a 108 rating, 119 touchdowns, 33 picks. Insanely, his home road record, I didn't realize this. He's played 49 home games, 49 road games. Dude is 38-11 at home, 38-11 on the road. That's remarkable. And so, again, these are all just regular season numbers, obviously. He's undefeated in his career on the road in the playoffs. And so I think the Chiefs offense against all you have to do is avoid Jesse Bates.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you think it'll be a big week for Travis Kelce? He's come out and said that his slow start is on him. No?
No. Here's my working theory on Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce has approximately 6 on the low end, 10 on the high end, so we'll call it 8 excellent games left in his body. And he is going to judiciously use them as needed. And I don't know if he only wants to play, if he wants this to be his last season, then I think he could still have an excellent season if he wants to fire all those bullets. If he wants to play 2 more years, then I think we're going to see a lot of games like we've seen early in the year where Travis is just out there. And this is where I remind people that Travis Kelce he turns 35 years old in 2 weeks. And Rob Gronkowski, who again has been retired for a couple years, and that was after he retired the first time, is 35 years old. Rob Gronkowski is 5 months older than Travis Kelce is 5 months younger than Rob Gronkowski. 5 months. Gronk retired for the first time in 2019. Came back, played 2 years, and has been retired 3 more years. So I just think
candle to shine.
No. That's not what I was trying to do. You don't have to blow out someone else's candle to make yours shine brighter. Yeah. I'm not taking a shot at Gronk at all, especially because, as I told you guys last week, I'm going to be playing poker with Gronk in Vegas in November at the big game on tour with my friends at Poker Stars in the North American Poker Tour. The point I'm making is it's trying to put in context how old Kelce is. He and Gronk are the same age. Gronk first retired 6 seasons ago, came back, and then retired for good 3 seasons ago. So I don't think you're going to have week-to-week dominant Travis Kelce anymore. I think he is going to have dominant stretches and dominant games. But I also think he only has so many of those left. All right, let's go ahead.
You think Gronk gets in the Hall of Fame before Kelce retires? Or does Kelce retire before Gronk gets in the Hall of Fame?
No, because Gronk will get in the Hall of Fame. Wait. I said that backwards. I think Kelce will retire before Gronk gets in the Hall of Fame. This is Gronk's 3rd year retiring, so he's got to wait 2 more years. I think it could be the same time essentially, but yeah. So I think Kelce is planning on playing 2 more seasons. That's my guess. I think he's planning on playing this season and 1 more, which is one of the reasons he has to be so kind of judicious. this is where folks can roll their eyes, but I believe this. I also think when we talk about, is Taylor Swift, is the relationship a distraction, those things, I don't think people think about it in the proper terms. A week and a half ago, Taylor Swift, by endorsing Kamala Harris, all of a sudden got really thrust into our heinous political vortex in a way she hadn't previously experienced. You had Elon Musk saying he'll impregnate her. You have people, just all this nasty shit. And I think when people deal with that, they go to their closest loved ones to confide in, to talk to, for support. And do I think that leading into the Bengals game, there was a lot of Travis's time and energy that was spent in trying to, help, if you will, and deal with the fallout that his girlfriend was dealing with? I do. I think that's human nature. I think you would be crazy to act like that doesn't affect people. And so I do look at that as a piece of it. And I think that's just totally reasonable. I think and the fact that Travis, how much was Travis dealing with the fact there were those fake tweets, like somebody made a fake tweet that he threatened to beat up Elon Musk, then he's got to deal with that. There's just a bunch of stuff that he was thrust into last week that I think he was dealing with. And he's super old. And so, yeah, I just don't think he's going to be week to week great, but I still think he's the most valuable playoff weapon in football. Next.
Okay. A few unlikely teams are emerging early this season, but who can turn their hype into actual beliefs? So we got the Bucs here, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Chargers, and the Saints. All these teams came into the season as underdogs to make the playoffs, by the way.
All right, so I picked the Chargers and Bucs to make the playoffs for the year. I think they're both positioned very well. I do worry about the Bucs' defensive injuries. The Chargers, I don't want to overrate what the Chargers have done beating the Raiders and the Panthers, but I don't want to underrate it either, that they've won those games without Herbert having to do anything. I think the Seahawks are good, but in a very tough division that's tougher now because of the Cardinals. The Cardinals' offense feels very real. Their defense feels incredibly beatable. And the one that I believe in the least is the one that everyone else in the media is getting duped by, and that's the Saints. If you've been watching football the last half decade, you know that occasionally Derek Carr goes on these types of heaters, and then he instantly goes back to being Derek Carr. It is surprising to me that folks are going to be duped by the Derek Carr early season heater. We can go back. He has looked pretty good. I'm not denying that. But we have seen this from him before, and then he comes back to being who he's always been, which is just fine. In 2017, Carr started the year off on one of these heaters. Not to this level, but 11 touchdowns, 4 picks, a 96 rating, and then he went back to, and by the way, that year, the first 2 weeks of 2017, 5 touchdowns, a 126 rating. The rest of the year, after that, 5 touchdowns, 126 rating the first 2 weeks. The rest of the year, 17 touchdowns, 13 picks, and 81 rating. Did he do that again later in his career? Well, in 2019, the heater lasted, I'm looking at it, the first half of the season, really. First half of the year, Carr. 13 touchdowns, 4 picks, a 105 rating. The rest of the season for Derek Carr, he wasn't bad, but it was 8 touchdowns, 4 picks, a 97 rating. We can give you another example of it. He started 2020 First 5 weeks for Derek Carr in 2020. A 116 rating, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, 116 rating, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. The rest of the year, 16 touchdowns, 8 picks, a 94 rating. He does these early season, oh man, this is the year he's put it all together. He's done that before. And it should be noted that in week 2 against Dallas, he threw the ball 16 times. That was an Alvin Kamara game. Now, he played great, but that was an Alvin Kamara game. And so I just don't believe in the Saints. I don't believe in their coach. I don't believe in them. I know everyone else does. I'm not one of the everyone else. All right, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams post-game interaction, Damonza, and then C.J. addressed it yesterday. So I said on TV yesterday that I thought, if people didn't see it, after the game, you know, the quarterbacks do handshakes, but then CJ tried to give Caleb some advice. Caleb wasn't really trying to hear it. And then CJ's like, come here. And this is the quote, stop taking those hits, learn from those mistakes, and everything you got, bro, is already in you. Okay. So a couple things. One is, Wilds pointed this out, and it is true. It is not that common that in those post-game moments, there is referencing to things the other guy did poorly. It is usually, hope to see you later in the year, stay healthy, you know, get that type of stuff. That is a little odd, but here is the part that I totally understood Caleb not wanting to hear it. You know how old Caleb Williams is? He's 22. He turns 23 in a few weeks. You know how old CJ Stroud is? He's 22. He turns 23 in a few weeks. You're not big bro. And now CJ came out and said that's not what he was trying to do, and I believe it. I do believe him that wasn't intentional, but that's how Caleb took it, and that's how I would have taken it. I don't want, when I look at us as peers, these two guys were in college at the same time, both nominated for the Heisman, both on the dais together, and Caleb won the award. Caleb looks at you as his peer and, no doubt about it, thinks I'm better than you. Now, you can say that's crazy, that's not what it is, but when they played in college together, he was better than him. And now Caleb obviously has had a very rough opening couple games of his career. This isn't Tom Brady to Lamar Jackson. This is not let me put my arm around you and tell you all the wise lessons I've learned, even if that's what CJ was trying. I think CJ's heart was in the right place. But I don't want, me personally, you can say I'm wrong for this. I don't want advice in those types of moments from people that I'm competing with after I have failed that are my exact age, relative experience, my contemporary. And I think most people understand that. If I am going to compete with you and lose and then hear a lesson, you need to be a generation older than me. Flatly. Like, it would have been weird if after the Thunder played the Spurs this year, if Chet had a good game and Wemby struggled, if Chet was like, "Come here, young fella, let me give you some pointers." Like, that's not. It would bother me. So people are mad at Caleb for his body language about it. I would have had
Caleb's
similar body
O-line
language.
sucks, dude. You're blessed. Hey, thank God you got a decent O-line, huh?
Well, but also, do you understand? But do you understand what I'm saying, Damonza, about
100%.
that? I think, listen, and maybe Caleb would have had that reaction no matter what, but I would have been more bothered by Caleb reacting that way if it were Matt Stafford trying to talk to him. A guy, you know what I mean? A guy who he's looked up to, a guy who's way older, a guy who has a Super Bowl ring, those things. then it's like, all right, listen to him, even if you're frustrated. When it's a guy that, again, you guys are the exact same age, it just felt so. So in the moment, I thought maybe CJ was doing it on purpose. Like I'm making clear I'm kind of the alpha of these young quarterbacks. I listened to CJ at his press conference yesterday. I believe him. He was not trying to do that. I believe him. He was being genuine and trying to be helpful. But I also do not blame at all Caleb for not wanting anything to do with it. I totally understand that. All right. We do our gambling show, and I try to talk Damonza out of a bad teaser next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright? Time for the Week 3 gambling show. You know, I'm a little bummed. I thought I went 3-2 last week initially because the Bears game, when I picked it on TV, it was 6.5, but I forgot when I picked it on Thursday, it was just 6. So that ended up being a push. But we can show what I did last week. 2-2-1. Bills plus 2.5 at Miami. That was as good as I thought it was going to be, and that's pre-Tua getting hurt. They were running away with the game. Colts -3 at Green Bay. All the trends said that was a square bet, that Green Bay, home, dog, LaFleur, all of it. I couldn't get over the Malik Willis factor. I was wrong. It was a bad bet by me. Everything said stay away from it. And you know what? Good for Malik Willis. The guy, he didn't. It's not like he played great, but God bless him, and he seems like a great kid. And he didn't hurt his team, so good for him. Seattle -3.5 at New England. I had an opportunity there, Damonza, to get week 1. I had a dog that went to overtime, getting 4.5, and I didn't cover in the Rams-Lions. Week 2, I had an opportunity to kind of even that by having a favorite that could then cover in overtime, but instead they just win by 3. The hook gets me, so I lose that. Bears +6 at Houston, admittedly a little lucky. The Bears, were outplayed, it felt, in that game by more than 6 points, but I'll take the cover. And Atlanta +6.5 at Philly. I told you guys I liked them to win outright. And even if they hadn't executed that final drive, thanks to Sirianni play calling at the end and kicking that field goal, that cover was basically locked in the moment they sent the field goal team on up 3 with 1:40 left. All right, so we're 2-2-1 last week, 4-5-1 for the season. It was still on this 5-0 drought that we've been on for quite some time, but I'm feeling it this week, pal. It just feels and smells. I mean, not in a while. It's been quite some time. It's been sad. I think the last time we went 5-0, you were sitting next to me. Sadly, yeah. I don't think we've gone 5-0 since you have been in Los Angeles, which is far too long. But it is what it is. All right, what's the first pick of the week?
First off, we got Philly +2.5 at New Orleans.
So you guys might be surprised by this. You guys know I don't believe in Philadelphia, and now I'm taking and how bad their defense is. But this, in my opinion, is such a drastic overreaction. The look-ahead line of this, Damonza, a week ago, This was Philly -3. And now I'm getting 2.5 points. I think Philly has real structural issues that can prevent them from being a championship team, from potentially making the playoffs. I also think getting 2.5 points when they have to be furious about how last week went and New Orleans riding a little too high, that's just an opportunity that I can't pass up. It looked like you wanted to say something, so go ahead.
I was shocked that New Orleans is favored here too, but yeah, if they go and play Philly and they win, do think it's. I know you think their defense is bad, but I think it'll be close to starting to take them a little serious.
Well,
I know they got week 5, the Chiefs, but yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. Yes, if they beat Philadelphia this week, then I have to reevaluate a bit. You know what I mean? My skepticism of them, but I don't think they will. By the way, Carr is a favorite, 22, 37, and 2 against the spread, and basically since in late Drew Brees era into now, New Orleans is one of the worst home teams, 4th worst home team against the spread from 2018 to now. Now Hurts is 1-8 against the spread in his last 9 starts, which speaks to how overvalued Philly has been. But I think now we've gone too far in the other direction. Getting 2.5 points in New Orleans, I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles. Next.
Chicago plus 1.5 at Indy.
Yeah, I think Chicago's better than Indy. I think Indy's defense is the exact type of defense you want to be up against for Caleb to get right. They couldn't, everyone knew that the Packers were just going to try to run the football against them. Gus Bradley's defense couldn't stop them from doing that. They lost to Forrest Buckner. I feel like the Bears can just run the ball. I also think the Bears defense can give Anthony Richardson a lot of trouble. I think the Bears win this game outright. The Chicago is 6-2-1 against spread in the last 9 games. That's in my opinion, not super relevant because obviously it's crosses seasons and quarterbacks, but I think they are a little undervalued by Vegas. I just think they're flatly better than Indy by more than a field goal, and I'm getting points. So I love Chicago plus 1.5. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone who's betting football for about a year, they're asking if I've got any advice for Caleb to cover the spread.
Just win the game.
Yeah, well,
and also Caleb, the other thing is this, he doesn't have to be great in this game for them to win. He needs to be better, and I thought he was better in week 2 than week 1. Again, incredibly low bar, I understand that, but I think that Caleb is early enough in his career, 2 games in, to still weight your priors of him as a prospect and what he looked like in college far heavier than you weight these 2 games. Now, if you're worried about the Bears' offensive line, that's totally legitimate. If you're worried about Caleb not throwing any downfield to any success, 0 for 11 on targets, more than 15 yards down the field with a couple of picks, that's fair. I just don't think that he has to be great for them to win this game. I think the defense is exceptional. I'll take the Bears plus 1.5. Next.
You got Seattle minus 4.5 versus Miami.
Yeah, this the longest flight in football, Miami to Seattle. You know that's relevant to me. It's Skylar Thompson starting a game and a week that, now I understand Miami is on extra rest, but I just think Mike McDonald's defense with Seattle is going to give Skylar Thompson absolute fits. And
jump in and say that when teams end up in these situations where they have a backup quarterback coming in and like they got a funny name or you're just not aware of them, I feel like 9 times out of 10 they come in and they prove you wrong and they end up covering that spread. I feel like this happened with Tyson Bagent at one point. Maybe
you're
Easton
right about
Stick
that. It
at
happened,
some point back in the day. I don't know, but
it happened with Malik Willis.
Yeah, with
that's
Malik
all.
Willis.
These are all true. What's also true is I've seen Skylar Thompson play, And I know I've said this before, but he's played with these Dolphins, with these weapons, and has not had success. You're now on the road in one of the hardest environments to play in the entire league against a team with a blitz-happy, hungry defense. I think Seattle will score a defensive or special teams touchdown. I know I'm laying 4.5 in a game where they were 2-point dogs before Tua got hurt. So that is a 6.5-point line movement. But I think Geno can carve up this Miami defense, and I think Seattle can do real damage to Skylar Thompson. So I like Seattle minus the 4.5. Next.
You got Dallas +1 versus Baltimore.
Yeah. So I think the producers thought I was picking Baltimore because they put good for these 3 notes, but they're all bad for my bet because it's that Lamar's 5-2 on the road after a loss. Lamar is 20-1 straight up against the NFC. These are all reasons not to pick the Cowboys. I understand all of that. This is purely that I just think this is mispriced. And I understand that it is only a point and that really it's basically a pick 'em. Who do you think's going to win? Fact of the matter is this. The Dallas Cowboys should not be home underdogs to anyone except for the Chiefs or the Niners. That's it. They are a good team that is great at home this past week notwithstanding. They should, and the Ravens have real issues. So I do like Dallas this week. I do think Baltimore falls to 0-3. I do think Dallas is the same way that Rashee Rice carved up the Ravens secondary and Devontae Adams carved up the Ravens secondary. CeeDee Lamb's better than both of those guys. I think he'll be able to carve up the Ravens secondary, and I don't know if Baltimore is going to stay as committed to the run as they should against a Cowboys team that's their biggest weakness. So I know that this is one that you disagree with me on, Damonza, but Dallas getting points at home is an opportunity I just can't pass up, even though it's just 1 point, 1.5 in some places. I'll take Dallas plus the 1.
Yeah, never pass up an opportunity to lose some money. Next,
okay.
you got Kansas City minus 3.5 at Atlanta.
Yeah, I think this line should be 6.5. I think that Mahomes in a dome. We already went over the numbers. The Falcons, a bit of an emotional letdown spot, and they're on shorter rest. And as far as the Chiefs putting up big points against this defense, you got to avoid Jesse Bates. I understand that. I'm not worried about their pass rush. The Chiefs have offensive line issues, but I'm not worried about Atlanta's pass rush. Isaiah Pacheco's injury might actually be beneficial for the Chiefs this week, purely because it will force the Chiefs to be in a drop-back passing game with an angry Mahomes, because Mahomes got furious with how he played this past week. So I think this could be a huge bounce-back spot for Kansas City. I think Kansas City's defense, Chris Jones, Falcons have a good to very good at times offensive line. I understand that. But at Cousins, even though he looked sharper later in that Philly game, does not want to get hit and, is not fully comfortable with that Achilles yet. I think Chris Jones can wreak real havoc. I think Trent McDuffie can fully erase Drake London if necessary. Bijan's a great player, but this feels like the first 30-point game of the season for the Chiefs and something along the lines of a 30-20 victory. So I'll lay the 3.5 with Kansas City. And I just think this should be a 6.5-point line. And the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball through the air. And so that's where I'm going. What's the bonus question, Damonza?
Dogs of 6+ points are 8-0 against the spread this season. or are you not interested in betting on that betting in that trend?
I don't really bet trends, and I also think that will correct itself at some point. And so there were no the big dogs this weekend. Let me just go through them quickly. The Patriots are 6.5-point dogs tonight. The Giants are 6.5-point dogs at Cleveland. The Broncos are 6.5-point dogs at Tampa. And the Rams are 7-point dogs at home against the Niners. The Rams' injuries are just so concerning. But the other dogs, we're talking Jacoby Brissett, Daniel Jones, and Bo Nix. And so, no, I'm just not interested in betting on any of those, which does, Damonza, bring us to your teaser, which last week Dallas killed you on, which is unfortunate. Yeah, Tampa plus 14.5. They won outright. Yeah. So you do obviously whatever you want to do. But here is what I would say. I think there are 4 teaser legs available to you that make a tremendous amount of sense that I will just try to soft sell you on. The first one is the Thursday night game with the Jets just needing to beat the Patriots. You guys know I don't believe in the Jets, but they are at home on a short week against Jacoby Brissett. They're 6-point favorites or 6.5-point favorites. You basically get them down to a pick. And again, a 6-point teaser, you only pay minus 120 on a 2-teamer. Another one that I would think about, Tampa Bay against Bo Nix. Tampa's secondary is all banged up, but Bo Nix can't throw the ball more than 5 yards downfield, evidently. You can get them down to a pick. And then in the other direction, the Chargers are 1.5 dogs. You can get them plus 7.5 against Justin Fields and the Steelers, a Steelers team that absolutely can win that game. But that is going to be a fast game. Both teams just want to run. You're getting more than a touchdown. And then lastly, Philly getting 8.5. You know what? Let me take that one out. I don't think Philly's going to get blown out by the Saints, but it's on the board that Saints offense against the Philly back end boat racism.
Philly was a team that I thought of putting in there, but I had to leave it as a stay away because the Saints haven't proved otherwise. And they lit up Dallas' defense, and I got to assume Dallas' defense is a little bit better than the Eagles.
That's fair. So you have those. But those other 3, if you were to pick 2 of them, you're just laying minus 120. I'm just throwing that out there. Now, I don't know if this changes your mind or feelings or opinion on anything, or if you want to go with the teaser you have in the doc, but it is now the floor is yours.
Now. Out of the floor. All right.
Yes.
So I'm not going to let your disbelief in the Ravens get to my head. I'm sticking with this teaser because if I go astray of this teaser and it doesn't hit, I'm going to be really upset with myself. You're the same person that said the last teasers were good. That failed. I appreciate you looking out for me, Pops. But hey, it's a 2-team 7.5-point teaser. It was a half point. It's not like I had to go up to 9, and it got me to 14 instead of 13 and a half.
But you are laying minus 160. Minus 160 now you're laying, but go ahead.
So we got a 2-team 7.5-point teaser at minus 163. We're teasing New England from plus 7 to plus 14, and we've got the Jets versus Baltimore. I mean, not the Jets. We've got Baltimore versus Dallas from plus 6 to minus 1. Or
from they were at. No. The other way around. You've got the Baltimore from. Hold on, wait.
It was like minus 1.5 or something like minus 1.
From minus 1.5 to plus 6. That's right. And the Patriots from plus 6.5 to plus 14. Okay. So my teaser grade is an F. You're teasing across the 0. You're not getting the key number with Baltimore. You're not getting 7. You're not even getting 14.5. I hope you win. I would love for the Patriots to win outright this week, and I can be right about the Cowboys and your teaser can hit. Maybe this is the key. Maybe your teasers previously have been too sharp. Maybe you need to do these, but you are laying minus 160. And again, if the goal is to win money, I just want to point out minus 160 is, I'm trying to find a money line that's the equivalent of that this week, is you're laying minus 163. The Chiefs to beat the Falcons, not cover, just win the game, is minus 170. So if you're into laying that type of juice, you could just pick, the Chiefs on the money line, but it's fine. This is your teaser. This is what you want to do, and I hope that we can play this back next Thursday, and I'm doubting you like a fool. I truly, truly hope that. All right, what's the offer for this week?
So you've been anti-Aaron Rodgers for years now. So time to put your money where your mouth is. The Jets are on a short week and are facing a solid Patriots defense that will likely see a lot of time on the field. This week's offer is Aaron Rodgers over a half interception, plus 105, over 0.5.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to take that offer. I just think the Jets are gonna handle the Patriots with relative ease tonight. I don't think we were wrong about the Patriots being one of the worst teams in football. I understand that they won week 1 and they played a tough week 2 game. I'm good with my previous thoughts on the Patriots, and I'm not getting good enough juice on that. So apologies for not taking the offer for a third straight week, but I'm not going to take that offer. We have another thing they want to bring to me, so go ahead.
Yeah, so the teasers obviously had a rough start, as we discussed a few minutes ago. So I've turned to the mystic arts to find wins in other places. That's right. I've enlisted in the help of the touchdown genie, and that will be you.
Okay.
Unlike normal genies.
Touchdown genie. I like that.
Yes. Ahead. Wait, what is that face? Unlike normal genies, he doesn't have elaborate rules. He just gives out anytime touchdown scores. So what do you have for this week? A few options for you. You got Garrett Wilson at plus 140, Devontae Smith plus 100. Oh, yeah, those are a couple. Chris Olave plus 125.
Yeah, you don't have to read them all. I like this week, if I were to pick one, let me see if I can find, what is Rashee Rice? Can the producers tell me that? I would like to know Rashee Rice for any time. Let me see. Oh, that's Patriots Jets, so that's not helpful for me. The Rashee Rice plus 130 is the anytime touchdown that I would bet. I like Rashee Rice at plus 130 for anytime touchdown. Again, I'm not actually betting that, but if I were to pick one, that's the one that I would go with. So, picks from the week. Here's what we've got. Trying to get above 500. Philly, plus 2.5 at New Orleans. Chicago, plus 1.5 at Indy. Seattle, minus 4.5 against Miami. Dallas, plus 1 against Baltimore. And Kansas City, minus 3.5 at Atlanta. Answer some listener questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright, Damonza. Let's answer a few listener questions.
Trey Jenkins, it takes a certain level of maturity to take some advice from someone your own age or younger.
Yeah,
Talking about Stroud.
Sure, I understand. If they are, I'm not saying you shouldn't take advice from someone your own age or younger. I'm saying no one would want to hear advice from someone their own age or younger right after you competed against them and lost. I'm not saying you can't have someone your age at work who works with you give you, pointers on things. I am saying if someone your age at work and you were both in a pitch meeting and gave competing pitches and the other guy won, and then when you're walking out of the meeting, he's like, hey, here's what you could do better, you might be a little annoyed. That's what the cauldron of competition is a key piece of that. Next.
Mr. Brownstone, how about Kyle Pitts anytime touchdown scorer? Chiefs abysmal against tight ends thus far this year.
Listen, the Chiefs have been awful against tight ends, but Kyle Pitts at this point, we might have to give up the ghost. I just don't know if Kyle Pitts is ever going to be the player we saw him be at Florida. All right, next one.
Brendan McDonald, what are your thoughts on the World Series of Poker computer rally controversy?
Rail controversy.
Rail.
I don't think anyone did anything wrong given the rules and how they were enforced. But in my opinion, there should be no coaching from the rail. And that's not just guys using solvers on their laptops that are on the rail. I'm talking about coaching entirely. I think that during the final table of a poker tournament, if they want it to be like, I think the fairest way to do it is on breaks, actual tournament breaks. You can go consult with your team and coaches or whatever, but during the flow of play, consulting with coaches, whether they're using solvers or not. I understand for the non-poker community, this makes no sense, but the poker
what's going
folks
on?
know what I'm talking about. I think I don't like it. So again, I don't think anyone did anything wrong. I just personally would change the rules. That's my answer there. All right, last one, Damonza.
Oh, good morning, 7:45 a.m. Lakers fan here. Nick, are we cooked?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the answer to that is probably yeah. I mean, it's a shame, and I'm not ready to talk NBA yet, but the answer to that is yeah, probably cooked. And not as cooked like, won't make the playoffs, but wasting, the opportunity to have a championship contender when you have LeBron and AD. Yeah, probably cooked on that front. All right. Everybody, good luck on your bets this week, and I'll see you guys on TV in a few hours. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor. Go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, we're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.